Open a meeting at Whately Board of Assessors, November 5th, 2025. First agenda item, do we have minutes from, guess we don't have minutes from the last meeting? Okay,
Oh, I might.
mention that. Yeah, I don't think we got it, did we? No. No,
Wouldn't
member.
tell you, to be honest with you. I got these. Want me to run and get her and tell her to get an agenda from the minutes from last meeting too?
No, it's fine. This is, I guess, not a routinely scheduled meeting.
No, we've got, Harold's got things for us.
Yeah.
Here, wait a minute. What was the last meeting?
Well, our last meeting was,
October 23rd.
yeah,
Here, I got the agenda. From
October 23rd.
Here's a fresh copy for you guys.
Okay, thank you. This is the
It's
October.
gonna be two from, so six, there's 2 copies right here for it. But, all right,
Yes.
It's right. That not the last time we met?
Yeah, okay, but that's not the minutes.
Oh, what is the agenda?
That's the agenda.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
How do you want to proceed then?
Okay, we'll do that next time, okay.
But, did you take
Sure.
more than one copy?
Sure, that's one.
That's fine, I'll operate it.
Okay, public comments from anybody, nobody else is here, okay. Next item on the agenda is Harold Shields of
Shide.
Consultant Group,
Ireland also,
Regional
is it?
Resource Group, to discuss a 10-year study of what, land values,
Actually is assessments,
assessments?
not specifically land value, but land values are always under the microscope.
Okay.
Yeah, so, this is the time of the year that we, are heading towards the setting of tax rates, but of course, as assessors, we have much that has to, be accomplished before we get to that magic tax rate. And typically, we head off the process by looking at the our current assessments, our fiscal year 2025 assessments, and how they compare to sales, principally sales that would have transpired in calendar year 24. So in the past, we would have looked at really a very small sample size. You'll see on the first page that I've provided with a value frequency chart. We have 570 single family homes. If we were to look just at calendar 24 sales, we have 7 valid arm's length sales. And from those 7, we would have in past practice made a determination about where values needed to land to reflect market appreciation and to bring our values into a closer correlation to the market. I work in a number of small communities, and it's not uncommon for us to see very few sales, very small sample size to work with to make these very important decisions about where values need to travel.
We're in a big community here.
Yeah, so I have developed over the last year a methodology that greatly enriches the number of data points and looking at essentially a 10-year sales period from calendar 2015 to calendar 24, which you see we have in that 10-year period 107 sales. Now, removed from before we're getting to the 107 sales, there would have been a few more sales, but any home that's undergone a change since it was originally sold, would be removed from the study. Okay, so what do you do with this?
Get back up on that.
Sure.
I'm not sure I caught that. Any home that has been changed.
So you have, for example, a property that's sold in calendar 2015. You have a sale price associated with that property. Now, if they put a big addition onto the house subsequently,
I mean,
that sale price
isn't reflective.
isn't
Because
really.
my question was gonna be, what's a change?
Yeah, a significant change.
Significant.
So, by looking at properties that have not significantly changed, they're pretty much the same today as they were 10 years ago. Maybe they've gotten a little older and dustier or whatever. We can greatly increase the number of data points. And in this case, 107 over that 10-year period. Now you're gonna see as we go through the packet here, how that plays out into the development of our assessment to sale ratio figures. Assessment to sale ratio is the current assessed value divided by the sale price. And that ratio then tells us what level of value we're at. The Department of Revenue requires our assessments to be at least 90%. Historically, I try to target values at about 95%, keep them a little on the conservative side, yet at 95%, we're passing muster with DOR.
And if I could. Where do permits fall into all this? Should there be a permit pulled on one of these sales?
Well,
If I'm
this-
jumping ahead, I apologize.
yeah, this would not reflect
Okay, not a problem.
properties that have had a significant permanent.
Okay.
Now, there might be a minor permit for a shed or something like that, that has minimal value, but. So this chart simply, is simply here to demonstrate that with, the 10-year sales. That, close to 20% of our homes will have, a sale that, so,
And you're close to 20 will have a sale that is.
well, roughly 20% of our 570 homes would have sold in that 10-year period.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Your 24 sales, I guess I'm a little concerned that they don't agree with this other sheet that we received at our last meeting of sales for the, I guess, two-year period. July 23 to June.
That's the
you know,
2-year period.
Well, right, but there's one. I know in my neighborhood that
so,
it's so,
so if I could, when we get further into the report, you're going to see that I actually draw from 2023 and 2024.
okay, but I'm looking at one here about one of my neighbors here sold in August of 24 for $895.
Mhm.
You don't show any in that price range, 24 sales.
That's the one we just fixed for him. Trying for him.
Yeah, that sale was actually coded out by somebody as an end sale. I just worked
Okay,
with
so you
David.
can't- Okay.
What's an end sale?
What is
Not
it?
And is no explained reason why the assessed value is so far off of the sales rates.
Oh, okay.
So unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to reintroduce that into this.
To Fred's point, should you reintroduce that? Would it affect these figures dramatically?
Is not, no,
Okay,
it's not.
It's valued at 867,000, my friend.
say that again, I'm sorry.
It is now valued at 867,000.
That is the
Difference in
proposal.
value.
Yeah. It's not on there, but we just.
Up there, okay, that is run right in line, I've been in that house.
So-
Beautiful.
Okay, so,
So, in our exploration of that property, it has a significant outbuilding that has just been remarkably,
yeah,
we were capturing that simply as like a barn, a studio,
Someone lives there, but yes,
yeah.
the daughter does, yeah.
but it was significantly undervalued. Looked at the valuation of that second building, brought that valuation up. And now the proposed assessment,
It's 870 something,
867.
and they pay about 895, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's right in line.
Yeah.
It seems to be in line, then, okay.
so let me
Okay,
go on my discussion here. The next page, you'll see market and ASR trend charts. So to conduct a meaningful 10-year study using older sales, you have to time adjust those sale prices to bring them up to a contemporary sales date. And so there's actually an elaborate process for developing time adjustment factors. Those time adjustment factors can be played back against those earlier sale prices to give a theoretical indication of what that property might have sold for on the assessment date being January 1, 2025.
So a property that's 10 years old, through adjustments, should reflect somewhat current.
Yeah, so if you look at this chart,
Yeah.
the first quarter of 2015,
Yeah.
2015-1, if you go over 4 columns, you'll see the TA factor.
Yeah.
That's the time adjustment factor. If we take a property that's sold in that first quarter of 25,
Okay.
multiply that sale price times 1.53,
Should bring us back.
we get an approximate estimate of what it might have sold for on
Okay.
assessment.
That's, I'm not gonna get into that, but that's gotta be some sort of complicated formula to come up with.
Yeah,
That can't be just, oh, it's 1.53.
there are more pages and analyses that went into that. But what I want to point out here, well, first, if you look at the time adjustment factor column, you'll see that as we approach the assessment date, that factor falls off. It stands to reason the more contemporary sale that
Sure.
transpired in 2024, we would not necessarily time adjust. So the factor would be 1.0. In developing these time adjustment factors, I do look at properties that have sold and resold in that 10-year period to test those time adjustment factors. So on the next page, you see about a dozen properties that sold and then resold. And if I can draw your attention then to several columns, well, let's just take the first property at
State road.
239 State Road. Sold in the first quarter of 2015 for $254,000. It's sold again 5 years later for $258,000. Now, if you take the time adjustment factors that I've calculated for the first sale price and the second sale price, the 0.53 and the 1.41, you'll see a differential of about 1.12.
Negligible.
Yeah, so not a whole lot of appreciation in that
I
period.
have been following the market since 2015, and now those are tough years for sellers. Up to about 2020.
Depends where in the state,
Of course.
but what you'll see is, of course, property values exploded with COVID and.
Yes.
So the comparison we make then is second to the last column is the time adjusted sale price. In this case, using that time adjustment factor. I would say theoretically that earlier $254,000 sale that same property would sell for about 284. In fact, it sold for 258. For about a 9% difference. Now, that's a fairly substantial difference. However, if you look across all the sold and resold properties, there's actually only about a 6.7% average variation between the second sale price and the time adjusted first sale price. All this is intended to do is provide a level of support for the time adjustments that are derived through other processes.
Well, that's interesting. I might have been wrong with my last assessment, because I see properties in here sold in 2017 for 270 and then sold for 440. In 22, well, that makes sense, in 22, like I said, up to 20, it seemed to be a little dead.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's accurate now when I'm looking at these numbers, but.
Elder, the explosion really started in earnest in 21. In 22, we just saw a marked increase in property values.
But this assumes that there's no building permits and no major improvements
Right,
in these two,
right.
in these houses you listed here in the tens, whatever.
And if I,
Not to say that there haven't been some level of, painting or customary,
Yeah.
re-roofs or that
that's
sort of
not
thing.
total revamps.
Right, but
So what I really want to focus now on is the first of 3 pages that looks something like this, just to give you an example.
And Michael, I'm just gonna go back to this page. Again, I find this 10-year market trend very interesting. Because I was in Florida during COVID and we shut down for 2 weeks and then we exploded. Exploded. And that's kind of what you're suggesting here. Things after COVID, all of a sudden people don't want to be in the cities anymore. Go out to, they want to get away.
So just by way of anecdote, we sold our family home in Ashby in 21.
Just before.
Well, just as things were ramping up and big historic house, beautiful house, but more than we really needed. Like a lot of folks decided to downsize so I had done, being in the appraisal business, I had looked at existing evidence of to gauge where I thought we ought to list our home. And I came up with a value in the $375,000 to $400,000 range. Brought in a realtor and she looked at that and said, "You're way off base."
Higher.
Much higher. Much higher. So, well, what do you think we should list it at? Well, I'd like to start at a conservative 525. Okay, 400 to 525.
She was seeing trends is that you may not have seen.
To your point, just almost overnight,
She saw it, she saw it coming.
30 buyers for every potential home. Well, lo and behold, within a matter of a couple of weeks, we had 3 offers. One very low ball, 475, one at 530, 5,000 over, and one at 540.
Good deal.
Okay, so we accepted the middle one because they wrote a really lovely letter about this was going to be their dream house, and the whole thing. So then I'm worried, how's this thing going to appraise out? The appraisal came in at 575, just in those couple of months. So anyway, just the anecdote of just how explosive.
Well, I think that if you looked at inventory at the time, I bet it was low. And
Very
low
low.
inventory tends to spike.
Sure.
So.
why the big difference in the appraisals then? Appraised
He was
value?
looking backwards.
I was looking backwards at what sales had transpired in 2020. Principally, a small town, Ashby is a small town like Whately, not, I think we have like 1,000 homes in Ashby versus.
577.
Yeah, in the same league. But, yeah, appraisers typically look at historic information.
Right.
And, all the evidence that I saw pointed to something around 375 to 400.
How historic was were you looking?
I would have looked back a year or so.
We wouldn't even use it. We would use something between 3 and 6 months.
Yeah.
And that's,
Or,
look at the trend and say, hey, this is the new number.
yeah, I'm seeing something happening here.
Sounds like it.
People coming through my front door,
Mhm.
my office, in droves,
Yeah. It sounds like you had a good realtor.
Yeah, so again, how did they come up with the 575 value?
I'd have to dig that appraisal out. I didn't do the appraisal myself.
The appraisal based on
Too far down.
comp sales, going, look at that, right, comp sales, and when you project something
They were
ahead
looking-
based on current
We're
sales, I
looking at
guess,
3
right?
months to 6 months.
Yeah,
versus-
3 months out. So if he was looking a year back, he was way low.
Yeah,
If he was looking last pendings, maybe, you probably didn't take into account pending sales. So pending sales, and recent sales and the market conditions led her to believe, and even then she underpriced it, didn't she? You sold it within a day, it's underpriced. So in any event, I understand. what you're
You
saying.
know
Yeah.
as well as I do that there's a lot of art to the science.
There is, but it sounds like she did a good job for you. Okay, didn't mean to,
Delighted, obviously, at the result, but.
yes.
So, the next 3 sheets represent those 107 sales over the 10-year period. I just provide this to give you an indication of, okay, if we go to the first sale, 54 State Street, sold for 160,000, apply the time adjustment factor. And the second figure from the right, the task for time adjusted sale price, 244,700. So again, the estimate is that if that home sold in 2015 for 160,000, it would have a time adjusted sale price of 244,000. So,
I don't see square footage in all this, that's not part of the analysis.
well, there are actually a number of columns that I had to condense to get this on the
That's fine.
8.5 by 11
That's fine.
between style and building value. There are about 10 columns in there.
So you have a square footage column,
Yes,
and I'd be curious as to the square footage sales in 2015 versus the square footage. And that's not the do all, end all, of it, come up with something, it's a good starter.
so with then the greatly enriched sales set, now I begin looking at my ratios. And that takes us to this page either.
Okay, yeah, let me just,
and so these are all the sales.
those are all the sales that either showed up on MLS and MLS sales and or, the deeds,
Well, the deeds get processed, but at some point when we take our study, we have to look at how the clerk or assistant in the office coded the property. They try to make their best determination of whether it's arm's length or not.
well, for instance, if, I sold my property to my wife for $2, that would be non-arm's length,
Right, and that'd be what we call an A sale.
a sale, okay.
Yeah, that's code for us. That's not a sale we're gonna.
It's not a sale we're gonna look at. Because it's not reflective of current market conditions.
Okay, so we look at our ratios, our fiscal year 25 values are reflecting values that are coming in at about 86% of market value. In other words, we're about 14% low on average. That means, very simply, that we have to lift values to get them back into their points. that lift is roughly 8% to get to a 95% assessment level.
You've got 14 in there, your first page shows only 7. Why the difference?
Because this is where, I look at 23 and 24.
Oh, okay, 2 years,
Yeah.
so it's just one.
So because of the small number of sales that transpired in 24, DOR requires us to look at 2 years. 23 and 24.
Which makes perfect sense, because assessed value is always behind actual sales value. And always, with few exceptions.
So knowing that generally I have to lift the land and building rates, the rate tables that underlie our valuation system, those rates need to be lifted on average about 8% to get us into compliance. I then look for opportunities to help reduce any bias that may have emerged in our assessments. So what you'll see as I slice and dice these assessments to sale ratios is that certain types of homes fall out as either over-assessed or under-assessed. I'm going to take you as an example to about third way down. You see sale price hyphen 10-year quartile statistics.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. What I do here is I take the sales, I sort them from low sale to high sale price and then divide them up into roughly 4 equal quartiles. And then I look at the median ratio. So quartile 1 would be the 25 lowest sold properties. Quartile 4 would be the 25 highest sold properties.
What's the highest, I'm sorry? Quartile 1 is the lowest.
Quartile 1 is the lowest, quartile 4 is the highest. What we're looking for here is there any regressivity in our assessments? In other words, are we undervaluing, in this case, higher end properties relative to the rest? And there does appear to be a pattern here of undervaluation of the higher end. Now that's looking at the 10-year. I'm going to take you up a few rows to the 23 and 24 sales. If I had just relied on the 23 and 24 sales, they would not, which there would be 4 in that 4th quartile, they would not suggest that there is a wholesale undervaluation of high-end properties.
I'm not.
But the 10-year does show that, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to follow this.
Yeah, no, this is good.
The
4 years, there wasn't much change, but if you're in a 10-year period, you say there was.
If I look at the 10-year history,
Yes, I can.
it reveals the trend of undervaluation of.
So the 10-year shows 84.84 is the.
Right, and the 10-year 0.76.
But what,
What 10-year 0.76? Oh, that's the 4th quartile.
4th quartile in the 10-year band.
Gotcha, okay.
but
Okay, I see it.
during that 10-year period, when were the 25 quartile 4s? Was that early in the 10-year period, later? Would that make a difference when that sold?
It could. You're right, Fred, it could, but we're looking at just general trends here.
Okay,
And
So the general trend is we're undervalued.
but I'm asking, did it happen early in the 10-year period or later?
No, I understand, Fred.
And maybe
I understand.
other values that happened later, other lower valued properties.
It's-
Increase more in recent years compared to the higher values.
that's an excellent point.
Right.
What we wanna make sure here is that these numbers, these statistics, are melded with some reason, on the basis of that statistic alone. I'm not gonna say, okay, if you're in the upper 25% of homes in Whately, we're gonna whack you an additional 10%. We're not doing that. But it just tells me that there may be some undervaluation. Now, that would have to reveal itself in other categories.
Again, the data is pointing to undervaluations across the board.
Yes, but it's a lot below is the higher end properties.
Say that again, Dave.
It's a lot more on,
Oh, I see, okay, the high-end properties are getting whacked,
No,
they're getting a better deal,
yes.
they're getting a better deal.
Part of our goal as assessors is to try to maintain value uniformity
That's part of
across
our-
all.
That's
all
part of our
classes.
mission statement,
Yeah.
being equitable amongst all taxpayers.
So this exercise is really looking to make sure that to the extent that we can, and with some thought behind it, not just looking at the numbers, that we're moving towards more equitable assessments.
If you took did you look at what was the average? If you,
The average is about 86%
for the 10-year or
for
the
the
2-year?
2 year,
The 2 years 86, and what's the average for the 10-year?
84.
84, okay.
So call it overall, we're at about 85%
Yeah,
Okay, we're,
assessment level.
okay,
That upper quartile, if you read the statistic at 0.76, suggests that we're something approaching 8 to 10% undervalued in that higher end category.
okay.
But what we have to do then is isolate what types of properties is defined by style and other criteria are undervalued because, for example, our building rate tables are principally hinged on the base building rate for various styles of buildings. So if I take you towards the bottom of this page, where you see antique, well, in the 2 year, sorry, missed a 2 there. It's
yeah, I saw that 2023.
2023,
Right, I got you.
24. In that antique category, we had 2 sales in those 2 years at pointing to 0.95. 0.95 would on its face suggest that
They're right on the money.
that they're right on the money, but relative to the other types of homes, a bit overvalued. This is where the value of the 10-year figure comes in, because now with 5 sales, all time adjusted, we're coming in at that 0.88. So that would not,
That last thing again that you just said,
so what I'm comparing, that's if we just look at the median ratio for antiques in the 2023 and 2024 period.
Mhm.
We had 2 sales at a 95 or 0.95 level of value. Okay. If I were just looking at those 2 year sales, I might say, well, we're not doing anything to the values of antiques. By introducing the 10-year statistic, if you go down towards the bottom of the page, the 10-year statistic for antiques is 5 sales over that 10-year period at a 0.88. That would suggest to me that that really antiques aren't overvalued relative
okay,
To market.
Is there anywhere where there is a good description of style?
Good one, good one.
Because in my neighborhood, there are houses that are classified as contemporary.
Yeah,
There are houses that are classified as ranch, and I don't understand what the difference is. And there's a big difference in your assessed value.
yeah, so ranches are typically one story.
Right.
And of a certain design profile, they're often rectangular with single ridge lines, uniform ridge lines.
Mhm.
Contemporaries typically have interior spaces that take advantage of cathedral ceilings and unique floor plans that would not be what you would find in one of those like 1960s to 1970s era ranches.
Mhm.
I'd almost have to have
I'd love you
Us.
to come drive through my neighborhood.
Everybody wants that, figure out what's what.
Because most all of the houses are single story,
uh-huh,
even the ones that are identified as contemporary. They do have the cathedral ceiling in the living room,
yeah,
but you'd be hard pressed.
On the outside to tell, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
because to me, contemporary was always like a modern design, like I would see in Westchester County in
Yeah.
New York. Very, very artsy, definitely stood out as different when you drove down the road. And there's a big difference in my neighborhood.
That was a concern to the board here when we were doing inspections of Pine Plains Estates, what type of house do we call it? And initially, we were looking at the outside features, and but once we went in, we did change some, I guess, and we were concerned that there was differences in houses side by side, and that's how we decided which one was a contemporary or
Yeah.
which was a ranch. And we looked at some features, not just the outside. And I think
yeah,
the analysis, and I think, like, I've seen this, we had a table analog looking at the types of houses in Pine Plains, so 41 houses or whatever, in
Oh,
Pine
okay.
Plains. Looking at the grade or of the construction, the square footage and the price per square footage. And we could see ranches were certain price per square footage, contemporaries were a little different.
I think they were less.
There were less.
Yeah, they were
Well,
less.
whichever way they
Yeah.
went, and there's some 2 stories, so grouping up that way. You could see the square footage kind of supported the style of the house we picked. And I think lately we changed some of them, the range, especially contemporary, because they didn't fit the norm for square footage costs. So,
yeah.
And I built my house in 2023, 2024, but there's no contemporary on here, there's 0 contemporary sales.
In the 2-year period.
And I'm pretty sure I was put down as contemporary,
So the next page,
Yeah, you told them, mate, you didn't sell
I didn't sell it.
Yeah.
I built it.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
so the next
The point
page
being,
has contemporary under the 10.
oh, it does, okay, very good.
Yeah,
And,
so,
and before I go to that page, I'm sorry, but this is just not getting this chart shows that the upper end properties are getting a deal on valuation and
Well-
assessments than the lower end. I'm trying to figure out where do you
yeah, only,
extrapolate that from?
yeah, only this band here, this white band,
Okay, that's where you extrapolate that,
yeah.
that the
And-
nicer homes are
and-
getting a
and
better
that-
deal than the non-nice.
And this band embraces 2 sets of statistics, one for the 2023 period.
Right.
One for looking at the 10-year.
I'm with you all the way, but I'm just not figuring how that points us to the fact that high-end properties are getting a deal and low-end are right regarding
Well,
assessments.
yeah, so if we were to look at the first band within the 23, 24.
Yes,
we've got 4 quartiles,
Yes,
and in each quartile, you have 3 or 4 sales. Really statistically, a very small sample size.
okay,
And if we were to just use the statistics for those 2-year sales,
yes,
we might conclude that there is no regressivity.
give me another word for that.
Regressivity implies that the more valuable the house, the
better
the
the rate you're
lower,
getting.
the lower the assessed value as a percentage of sale price.
Okay, and then you drop down, you got 25 sales, 0.76.
Yeah, so
Your study.
25 sales would indicate a richer,
Statistic.
Data,
more credible. More credible.
more credible.
Yeah,
Credible.
okay.
Again, this is simply to kind of lay some initial
Mhm.
foundation to where where and how we wanna deal with ultimately the land and building rates that drive our.
No, I'm okay with that, I just struggled with
Sure.
how you ascertained what you just said.
I might point out too, while we're on the page,
Yes.
if you look right in the middle, land area,
Yes.
That's interesting.
if you look at lots equal to or larger than 5 acres, we had 8 sales over that period, and
Lots
Okay.
equal to or greater than 5.
lots
acres.
equal to or larger than 5 acres. We had sales over the 10-year period at a ratio of 0.75. Well,
It doesn't say 5 on here, that's what I'm.
8, yeah,
0.75?
Well, no, it says,
8 sales, yeah.
where do you get
8.
5 or more acres? I'm struggling with that too. I looked at the wrong chart. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Oh,
Lots equal to or.
there it is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
8
thank you.
sales at 0.75.
I,
Now,
thank you, I got it now.
Logic tells us that more valuable properties tend to have more acreage.
Sure. I would agree
And
with that.
so. Going back to the earlier analysis, if we look at the upper end of the housing market, where we have what appears to be, lower values.
And it should be higher.
So where this begins to paint a picture, okay, maybe we need to look at that rear acreage rate that plays into the valuation of larger parcels. Maybe it's too low. Now,
Okay.
let me just, before we get too excited here, let me just say that I'll never make a radical decision about any rate based on this study. What I want to do is year after year, look at the trend. Does the trend persist with a new body of sales? New collection of sales, does that trend persist? And then make incremental movement towards remedying
Capturing that
that
trend.
undervaluation or overvaluation.
Yeah, okay, that's very
Does that
good.
make sense?
It does.
Yeah, 'cause
I was struggling with how you look at this all day long, so.
So another anecdote, if I could, I won't name the community, but it's just outside of Boston. Big uproar, probably about 12 to 15 years ago, I lost track. Torches lit in front of town hall, wanting to burn the assessors at the stake.
That's always good.
And it was about 900 waterfront property owners that saw their assessments double overnight.
That's a big. assessment.
That on the basis, when I dug in, because the select board brought me in to do a study of their assessments. What amazed me was on the basis of one sale of a waterfront property on that pond. That had an assessment ratio of 50%, 0.50. The firm that came in to do the revaluation doubled the value of all
That one sale.
on that one
That
sale.
makes sense at all.
Not taking into account sample size.
Sometimes you can just throw it behind the low, go from there. But
Yeah, if you only have one sale, there's nothing to throw away, but
That's true, yeah.
But in any case, we want to be smart and intentional about how we improve assessments. Yeah, Jane, right?
James.
Yes, Jane, your question about your street and the building
Building
styles.
type styles.
That's anecdotal information that is actually very helpful because I can take my 10-year study and I can bring up any street and see, okay, with a richer data set, how does that inform me about not only the styles, but the level of value on that street?
In trying to understand my taxes, that's how I got here, because I don't understand how they're figured, and I'm getting closer. But I took all the houses in my neighborhood and how they were identified as ranch or contemporary. And last year, the ranch houses increased dramatically in value,
They did.
at a much higher percentage than the houses that were classified as contemporary. And that you know, I don't understand why.
So let's pick on ranches, since I have the statistics here. Bottom of this page here,
Yeah, yeah.
if we look at the 23 and 24.
Yeah.
In that 2-year period, we had 3 sales of ranches pointing to an assessment level of 0.75. Okay, what does the 10-year study reveal? Well, 34 sales over 10 years at a 0.85. So I'm not seeing at this juncture any
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
need to make any additional adjustments to ranches.
That's a
Ranches,
very interesting statistic.
ranches are going to float along with the average.
Mhm.
I can't speak to last year because
Yeah,
I didn't look at last year's assessments, but I can say that ranches are an interesting case study for many years, several decades. Ranches were not a desirable housing type.
Mhm.
Colonials on a value per square foot basis exceeded those of ranches. Now with the advent of downsizing, people wanting 1-story living, the demand for ranches
More sales, higher.
has been.
Exactly what happened. More people want them.
Yeah.
And that would account for an increase in value of ranches. If more people wanted an antique, that would affect that too. Yeah. It's still fine,
but all the contemporaries in our neighborhood are very similar to all the ranches. They're all on one floor and they're all within 500 or 600 square feet.
Yeah, that's a classification
Yeah.
issue, but so.
It's an interesting statistic. If you ask me, it's very interesting.
So,
Going back to the say, land areas, yeah, we assessed the. Beyond the prime lot size value of, I don't know, 3,000 or 4,000 for extra
mhm,
acreage above that.
As I
base
recall,
estimate
it's
footage.
3,000, I think.
Yeah, 3,000, which has been that way for years, and I don't know how we ever come up with a value of 3,000, whether somebody did a study at one time and. Told us that was
Yeah.
what it should have been, but that hasn't changed in, I guess I've been doing it 15 years, that value hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's unused area, right?
Yeah. And-
Yeah,
and,
It's unused area, so.
So it's valued at a significantly lower rate than the prime building
right,
side. That being said, people like having acreage
Sure.
around them,
Yeah.
and
Well, from a sales point of view, 2 equal properties, one with 5 acres, one with 1, identical across the board. And of the one property with more than 5 acres, one of them is only being assessed, the other at 3,000. I get my point is I'm gonna give more value to the 5 acres.
sure,
I mean,
but you're not going to, it's not gonna be a dramatic uptake.
you know, I'm not all that familiar with assessing here in Massachusetts as I was in Florida, but that does make sense.
Yeah, if I, as a potential buyer, have two identical homes, one on a 1 acre lot, one on a 5, I'll pay more for the 5, but it's not, it's gonna be.
Five times,
a s-
yeah.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
called
small.
that is called the principle of substitution.
So,
Okay,
these,
could you speak about the economic neighborhoods here?
yeah, economic neighborhoods, so,
We had now,
Middle of the page.
okay, very good.
there are, within the sales set, 3, neighborhoods, as I understand this, one on, the EW would be on the east side of 91.
East Whately.
Yeah,
WW would be on the west side. VC would be the village center.
Yeah.
And so you have, statistics that are pretty close all the way around. If we look at the 2-year, we're at 0.87, 0.90. That would tell me that we could uniformly raise the prime site value, the land value, in those 2 neighborhoods. And in fact, in the actual rate table, the value per square foot is identical for those 2 neighborhoods.
That's interesting.
okay, but, yeah, the latest year, I could see that, but we had East Whately was significantly less than West Whately beyond before 2023. You were in the 95,000, 95 to 98,000 per acre value. In East Whately, and then of course we had a neighborhood, factoring here for Pine Plains Estates, the 40 houses there that sold for more than or were valued more than other properties in town. Cause they were selling anywhere from starting, well, 10 years ago at 95,000 up to what, 120,000.
He started 95 at 105 and then he raised it to 120. Well, the resale market raised it to 120 and the recent resale market has raised it to 160 a lot now, 157, 160.
Right, so that neighborhood is different than what East Whately is.
And if you,
Saying,
yeah, and if you look at the rate, there is a bit of a premium for that.
right,
uh,
but that isn't reflected here, cause, wow,
Because we didn't have sales in the mix. This only reflects properties that have sold in the last 10 years.
well, no, there were sales in that neighborhood, that's the new neighborhood. It would be in the 10-year sales.
Yeah, there were sales in that
But
neighborhood.
that's not what the 60 is for East Whately, but, you know, I
Well, I
have
don't-
40 of
I
them
don't know
probably
how-
are from.
I don't know how they're coded then unless they were changed from whatever special designation to EW or WW or.
Well, we had the neighborhood factor and somehow the property record cards never showed that or never picked up that we had a neighborhood for Pine Plains Estates. And the latest came through is all Pine Plains Estates was called East Whately.
Well,
And their 40 houses were added to the 200 houses that are in East Whately. And they affected all the 200 houses that were in East Whately.
I
And
think,
I'm one of the 200, I mean, my value went up from 95 to 116, 20,000 increased land value in 1 year. And every other 200 houses in East Whately went up, their land value went up 15 to 20,000 in 1 year. Pine Plains Estates stayed the same.
well, Fred, I think as I remember this conversation, under East Whately on our property card is a subsection called Pine Plains. But it was never used, to my knowledge, through RRG as a separate economic location. They kept it as East Whately, West Whately, Village Center.
It wasn't used by RG, but it was used in coming up with assessed values of parcels.
Well, when you were with Cynthia, did you use Pine Plains Estates as a economic location?
Yes,
Okay,
it was identified on the property cards.
So
I mean, you could see the change in value.
If there's if there is a premium, for that subdivision, I would code that under the, I think it's an SB neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because there is a premium to that rate over and above, the EW and WW neighborhoods.
Alright,
So how is that any different, Fred, than the houses up on Masterson Hill?
That's where.
That are huge and twice way more than my house, and they have a great view. I mean, I feel like,
so back to the view tax.
So there's an extension to this 10-year study. That, and it takes some time to implement, but I can actually look street by street, development by development. At the 10-year sales time adjusted to discern those patterns. And if there's a street or an area that needs to be brought into its own neighborhood, economic neighborhood category, that's something we can certainly.
We have enough
so
stats. but-
how does it impact if you live in a neighborhood? And there are very few houses that go for sale, but because people have big expensive houses and they wanna downsize. And they're offering way more than what you think a house on your street would sell for. Because they want this single floor contemporary / ranch house. But it doesn't feel like it's a true reflection of the value of the house. When the owner itself says, my house sold for way more than what I thought it was gonna sell for, kind of like what you were saying about your family house. So is there a way that gets figured into what the true value is? Because when the bubble bursts, this,
So we can only respond to actual data in the form of sales.
Okay.
I've had any number of property owners across the state who said COVID effect. People were crazy. They were coming up from New York and Boston and paying
yeah,
crazy prices. Well, unfortunately,
That's the market.
they established the market.
That's right.
okay, thank you.
But
What's your address, Jim?
What?
What's your address?
My address?
Fort Grail?
No, for Francis.
6.
Oh,
You're
sorry.
in PP?
No, let me-
You're in the
before-
Pine Plains?
Yeah, before you say something, Red, there are 40 homes in Pine Plains Estates. There are 570 residents in town. You're talking less than 1%.
To East Whately,
10%.
compared to East Whately.
Oh, compared to East
East
Whately.
Whately, it's like over 200.
Well, I don't know the number, but.
Yeah.
If you're talking 200, now you're looking at a bigger percentage.
Yeah.
How do you know that number?
Yeah, I looked at, kind of, it's everything from east of State Road and east. This way, it's East Whately.
Which leads me to the question, if you're only looking at 200,
All of them have.
there's not enough stats there to make the argument you're trying to make.
Well, no, there isn't enough stat to say they should all be all the same.
It's a good one. I don't see it. I'd like to, well, what's your answer to that?
So in the mass appraisal world, we're looking for patterns. And one of the extensions, and I'm gonna say with the classification hearing scheduled, I think Dave said next week. We don't have time to go back to the drawing board and take some of these concerns tonight. However, with a 10-year study, I can come back with a street by street analysis, a profile of the types of homes that exist on that street. From that information, what they've sold for, what their assessments are relative to those sale prices. And from that, we can say, okay, on such and such street, over the 10-year period, we had 15 sales. and they're all consistently undervalued.
Yeah.
That would come, in my mind, that would land as a pattern that needs to be investigated. Okay, so why is that? Okay, these are unique homes, they're in a unique part of town. We need to break these out into their own.
Even if there's only 40, is that enough to break out? And
Well, that's
determine
one of
an-
the, that's one of the questions you have to ask.
Is that enough to determine
Because-
an economic location?
Because in the certification here, when DOR comes in, they say you have, 4 neighborhoods, you've got to have sufficient sales to support your rates for those 4 neighborhoods.
I hear what you're saying, and I think that would be a good analysis. And I recollect that David Manzello said that RRG could do that kind of analysis, because I brought up this question last year when we were at looking at the values and stuff. And he kind of agreed, yeah, we could do that analysis because,
So,
that was last February, March when we talked to him, so.
well, but my apology,
This year, so.
wasn't part of those discussions. I don't know when your last meeting was, but I got a call probably a week or 2 ago from David. Can you do one of your 10-year studies for Whately?
And I thought this study, what you did here is good for the values, but. I guess my major concern was the land values, why they increased so much, and David kind of said, okay, we'll do the 10-year study. Or a study and show you that. And that's what we've been waiting for.
Well-
And to further, I guess go back to Jane's concern, yeah, we have one area, West Whately, that has
Let's say
higher
6
value, higher assessed values. Because of the view, the land is on a ridge and they have a view, so we assess a view tax to it. Because they paid more for the lot to begin with.
Up 150. so
Yeah, so we assess a view tax for that to bring that value up on the
Right.
land, not the total house, but just on the land
Right.
value.
And if those have been implemented, we would not have removed those.
No, they stay, and it's not only that neighborhood, but in the center of town, the village center has some like that too as well,
Yeah.
that have a view tax. So, that's how we were dealing with the higher value, higher price sold houses, higher price sold lots. How did we compensate for them? They weren't gonna be the 95,000 like everybody else was. That's when they went up to the 140 or 150. Cause that's what they paid.
That's what they paid. Oh, why can't we just say, you got 6 houses in West Whately, they're on Matthews Road, let's call that an location, they're about $1 million that or more, easy. Every one of them, so that should
But to
be
your earlier point,
not enough.
Not
It's
enough.
not enough. It's tough. Is 6 enough? Is
So,
40 enough? What?
this is one of the
determines-
dilemmas of working in a small community.
Yeah,
So when I look at the 10-year statistics by building style over on the last page, and it shows that contemporaries are at 0.79
Mhm.
and conventional 0.95. So is that saying that the contemporaries are the most out of line? Is that what,
So
because it's not,
yeah, so it's suggesting we had no sales in the 2-year period,
right,
15 over the 10-year period. This is suggesting that the contemporaries are a bit undervalued relative to.
I'm gonna tell you, based on what.
In fact, when I change the rates, I'm giving contemporaries a small lift. I don't try to remedy the whole
right,
statistical.
and so anything that's under 95 would get somewhat of a lift, is that, am I understanding that right, or no?
So. Generally. All rates are going up about 8%.
Yeah, that I figured, yeah,
And that to get us to 95.
because
Then
of past sales.
I may back off that percentage, in the case of properties like, if we look at conventionals. both in the 2 years and in the. And in the
Right, they were both,
10-year.
they were 95 on both.
So those building rates are not going to go up to 8%, but
Okay.
a little bit less.
And when you think about it, you say, well, you know, we're a little, contemporaries are a little undervalued. I don't know about you guys, I'm paying 11,200 a year in taxes on my contemporary. That doesn't sound undervalued to me, not at all.
or what's your square footage?
2,200. I pay more per square foot than anybody else in that. $4.15 a square. Some people are down to $1.37 a square. I didn't complain about it because that's about what I had into it. When I looked up the numbers, I said, okay, I got about this much into it, and they're below what I got into it, and there it is. But that number for 2,200 squares does not feel undervalued. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
So I'm gonna leave it at that.
what if you calculated a square footage cost for each of these, would that
I
tell you
did.
anything?
I did do that. I actually, I did it for the whole community.
If you
Yeah.
did a square footage cost for each one, for these two, the 2-year and a 10-year study to see.
So what I'm gonna recommend is that we have a project moving forward with the homework that I've done.
Yes.
Let's stay on
To
track.
build out, to your point, Fred, some additional statistics that look street by street.
Yeah, okay,
Okay.
right.
You know, there's
There's a method to its madness.
you have some streets where the houses just vary from property to property, the older streets.
Right.
Those are a bit of a challenge, but off of those, you have developments that are, where the homes are pretty much in the same. Maybe built in the same era or of the same general quality or size. We'll be able to look at those statistics and start looking at, after some
Yeah.
discussion about what we need to do to introduce neighborhood changes that are going to.
Yeah, I think that would be good, yeah, because you'd have the 40 that were all built within, let's say, a 10-year period, so
Now,
you
yeah.
could more newer, so more characteristic, more typical of new houses in of the 40. The others in town are scattered, the new ones are scattered here and there, so you can't say on one street you have enough new ones built.
I would agree with statistics to back up what you're trying to say.
But
Any statistics that back up what you're trying to do.
I'm a statistician by training and education. I've learned over the years that there's nothing like on the street level, common sense and knowledge that has to be married to the statistics. I would never want to introduce any sort of a even radical change without
Yeah.
it being bandied about and
Understood.
let common sense have its day as well.
And my last point is, the last sales of Pine Trains, the lots are now selling for 160, 150, somewhere. There's only one or two lots left. I'd be curious if your value for your lot to stay the same, but the lots in Pine Plains are gonna get that hit.
I don't know.
That would make sense, wouldn't it?
I got a, well, possibly, I have a question.
Yeah.
Fred, you were saying that PP code had always an effect on the property?
Yeah.
Not as far back as 2020, I just went,
Don't show any.
well, it shows a PP, but there's no factor for it.
Oh,
It just designates where in West Whately
Yeah.
it is, we East Whately is.
okay, but then on the property card, you show land values of like 116 or 115 for Pine Plains, for some houses, and other ones you show 95,000.
On my plans,
Not in Pine Plains.
Not on Pine Plains, and this past year, they were all 115. 116, 115, they're all 116. So. You had to do something to change all the property cards to make them all the same land value, right?
or you factor, whatever factor was on the land.
Whatever the land was, didn't go by neighborhood.
But that PP didn't affect them, that's all I'm
Right.
saying to you.
But you didn't change the Pine Plains ones, cause they were already at 116, it was the other 200 that you changed.
Or what, maybe 10 minutes, maybe we'll check and see.
Well, I'd like to, if I could get back to your presentation.
Yeah, I think we're, David, I think we're pretty well.
All right,
there.
Yeah,
I-
okay,
Okay,
So.
and then we can discuss more later.
yeah, okay.
So, to my last point, all of this culminates in decisions I have to make around basically three sets of tables that drive our assessment system: our land table, our building base rate table, and the table for miscellaneous structures, that'd be outbuildings and pools and that.
Gotcha.
Those have generally been, those rates have been increased by about 8%. All of that resulting in roughly an 8% increase on average to the single family homeowner.
Across the board, 8% increase.
Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some variance there
So
depending
like
upon,
assessed values will go up about 8%
on average.
on average, and it's
Not your taxes. just-
no, assessed value.
So with that, then, let me say that, there are certain categories of property, and we alluded to them, where, I did move the rates up a little bit more to, respond to, to these statistics, contemporaries, for example, those are gonna go up a few percentage points more than the average. So, with that then, you'll see the LA4, this is the tabulation of values by class. I think David and I had a change or two that's going to slightly modify these numbers. But if I take you to the very last page,
Before you leave that page, where are the 103s and 109s? I mean, are they grouped under miscellaneous?
are you on the LA4, Fred?
Yeah, LA4.
LA4,
It's the 103s and
the
109s.
103s come under miscellaneous res.
Same with the 109s.
Yes,
It's on your other page. Wow.
this is a printout straight out of Patriot.
Sure, yeah. Okay, that's where you have the Ken
Yeah.
property, okay.
Yeah. And then the last page, is what we call the LA15. This is a DOR report, and it shows, principally, here on this last page, you'll see,
Yeah.
column 101.
Yeah.
569 properties. We're coming in at a 0.95 assessment level. That's right where we want to be. The miscellaneous 103s, 109s at 0.98.
Okay.
And then we had one sale of an industrial property that's coming in at 0.98.
Where's the 0.95? Am I missing it?
Under
First column on the little ones.
First column, gotcha. 569 homes. Am I missing the
Yeah.
0.95?
in the,
Or what am I missing?
Right there. Fourth line down.
Oh, God, I need glasses. Oh, no. I gotta upgrade my glasses. I'm sorry.
so out of the 569 in the 2-year time period, we're having, as a sample size, we have to report 2023 and 2024. We have 13 sales,
Yep.
and that sample represents 2.28% of all single families.
Okay.
And of those 13 sales, our median assessment level is coming in at 0.95 or 95%.
Which is what the OR.
Yes, up from 0.88% where.
And there's gonna be, and therefore there's gonna be the.
So-
increase.
Well, not in revenues,
Mhm.
taxes, because
And it says-
as you know, we raise values 8%. If the budget holds the same, tax rate would go down 8% and everybody would be roughly, all day long. Spam.
You're an important person.
No, it's spam.
Stan. No, I follow you. For the most part. I do follow
Well,
where it is, because if what he said, if I heard him right, if values go up, tax rate goes down. That's an odd.
If the budget holds, if the budget holds, if the budget goes up, then that doesn't work, so,
Okay,
Budget goes up, say, 3%.
Yeah.
2.5% or whatever.
whatever.
You can expect the average tax bill to go up by, something in that.
because I think we're at like $13.69 this year. So- If that could go down if the budget stays the same, but if the budget goes up, then that might be kind of $14 and a
And-
quarter.
At an 8% increase, I can almost guarantee
Yeah.
that the rate's going to go down,
Even if budget goes up,
Good.
even if the budget goes up.
as long as you don't do something so that I can override.
I'm sorry?
As long as there's no override that was passed.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting how we got to 0.95. That was on past sales, so the bottom line is past sales have increased. And by default, assessed values will have to increase. And by default, more than likely, but not always, people will pay more taxes.
Well, people pay more taxes now, no matter how.
That's the way of the world, I get it. But even if the rate comes down, what rate do I want? What's that called? The tax rate comes down from 13.79 to 13.00. It may cushion the increase that people have to accept. With the overall prices going up. Yes, no? It may.
Well,
quite a change.
If the tax rate comes down because values have gone up, then instead of paying, for easy figuring, $14 for the tax rate, it drops to 13. Well, part of that increase will be, hello,
Is there any assessor here?
all of us are here.
Well, this lady said that she received a receipt. Come on, Margaret.
Yeah.
She received a receipt for 4:30, excuse me.
Oh, it says you guys are open till 4:30.
Oh,
Thursday?
gotcha. Chief, David, can you handle that?
Yeah, but it's on Thursday,
Yeah, it says it right on here.
today's Wednesday,
No, what is today, Thursday?
Wednesday.
What is, today's Wednesday.
You know, I had the same problem.
One day to Tuesday.
I'm trying to make this too simple.
4:30.
That's exactly what I'm
trying to do.
that's always good.
Yeah, that's all right. If the tax rate were to go down, value would go up.
Values go up, tax rate goes down.
You
If
may,
you spend more money, you know,
it
tax.
might not be as severe, it might not be an 8% increase. That's where
It's not gonna be any.
Okay, there,
You did a really nice job explaining
yes,
this.
this is good stuff.
Let me point you to another resource too. It's not a Hollywood production by any stretch, but, I have on our RG website a, series of 6 videos. To get through all 6 would take about an hour and a half. I don't know if you have interest, but I put this out here for taxpayers that have the question, how's my valuation derived? And it goes through a fairly,
Is that,
hopefully not too intense.
so that's how it's titled, how our tax values derived.
Yeah, if you go to the www.
Mhm.
rrgsystems.com website, you'll see something that the webmaster called Assessors 101. If you click on that, it's not the Assessors 101 that DOR offers, but there's a 6-part series there. Roughly about 15 to 20 minutes each segment where I lay out, I mentioned this for the public as well, because anybody in the public that wants to better understand the process,
No,
I lay that.
that's very valuable.
That would be something
That's very
that
valuable.
might be good to have the town of Whately put on
Exactly where,
their,
Yeah,
Web-
a link,
exactly where I was
a
at.
link that takes people right there.
There you go. Very good, Jane. I was
because
thinking
I
the
think
same.
that's a common question of a lot of people.
Yeah,
They
Everyone,
may not question the bottom line, but how do you get to the bottom line?
It's not a simple formula, that's for sure.
What I'll find, in all frankness, is that there are, folks who, after the first video, say, whoa, this is, my head hurts. I've tried to knock this down to a simple,
It's not-
process with lots of illustrations, but
it's not-
for some folks, it's just not their bailiwick. For those that are intent on really understanding at a fundamental level what we do as assessors, and especially in this valuation process, it can be really helpful.
Thank you.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I'm with you, Jane. Put it on the website.
Yeah, that was on there, I didn't take the time to.
Well, it was on the website.
Yeah, somewhere I saw.
It's on the RG or the Whately.
Origins.
Yeah. So, no, that's,
Just a simple link that automatically links into that URL.
actually, I wanted to compliment you guys on our website because it looks so much more informative. At least since I've been here.
So if you done the comparison, the LA4 comparison report? This is just proposed, the LA4,
Oh, yes.
this is what you're proposing, if you looked at last year to see the changes?
There you go.
After you should receive, Fred. Give it to Jane.
Thank you, Fred.
LA4 comparison, let's take it from the top, 101 single families. Going up, 7.3%. No condos, miscellaneous 103, 109s. Those are going up a little under 4%.
Okay.
Two families right at that 7.9. 305, we have to be careful here because when I asked David about this, there was a property that was completely relisted.
That one on, remember the one you talked to me about, Fred? The three family on the center of town?
Yeah,
I wrote out and redid it, and that's what caused that to change.
they want like a big number for that.
Yeah, no.
$895, I think.
Yeah,
But
The measurements were totally screwed up, so I fixed it.
yeah, okay, so we're.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about. I spoke to the agent.
okay, and then in the apartment class 111, two fewer properties. I don't know if that's due to the reclassification.
There's no difference.
Wait a second, oh, wait a second, apartments, am I reading the wrong one?
Yeah.
There's still two, I don't.
That was the school where we owned the value, because it's getting rebuilt models. It's got the apartment in the apartments. Down on the end of the street here.
Oh, is that the school?
Yeah.
That's the school. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
makes sense.
Okay,
They're not completely.
so vacant land going up about 6.4%.
Okay.
That makes sense.
No open space, commercial, those are going up, 9.2%, still kind of in that 8% range. There's scant evidence, in the way of sales and such,
You have nothing.
but,
I guess I would expected the. Commercial or, and I don't know, industrial, what, North Farms, is that commercial?
Yeah, but that's falling under the, we're gonna get to agriculture, where that one falls under, I picked up $1.8 million value.
Yeah.
It's gonna get picked up. You're gonna see a huge when farm gets far enough down, and the chapter land values, they're changing around a bit, and I'll explain then what's happened at that point.
yeah, so if we go right there,
Okay,
61, 61 and 61B, David.
Yeah, we, last year, if you remember, we had a lot of problems with the open space.
yeah,
So what we did was we changed the open space into the chapter land, and that's what's causing the swing and the higher value in the chapter land. Plus on 4D River Road, with North Farms,
yeah,
I picked up nearly $2 million of growth.
okay,
Okay.
So there, that's fallen in there as well.
okay.
So
And
that,
the other new growth, major one that would have been on the spaces,
Yes,
storage facility on State Road.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and. So, we've got. The mixed use 012 through 043 in 4 different categories. But this is kind of wrapped up in what you were.
Yes.
Just explaining.
Mixed use commercial.
Basically a shift in values.
And the DOR was aware of this, we talked about it last year. So they knew it would be coming.
Yeah, they don't like surprises, do they?
Okay. And then personal property. I wasn't involved with personal property.
I don't think we are either. We stopped counting cows.
Would that be Jenny that worked on that?
No, it was, Karen.
Oh, Karen. Okay. So we,
Well, there was quite a bit of new growth on it, I forget what it was for, but there was.
so. Any questions about the comparison?
It just, this would exclude permits and improvements.
No, this includes.
It includes permits and, oh, okay, and I'm assuming you get a report from the permit department as to who did what down there.
Say it again,
You get some sort of notification from the permit department when a permit's pulled.
we'd want the Franklin County Regional Filing,
Okay,
I get it to their servers.
okay. That's good. So that's interesting. I could go to FERC office. I've seen a lot of properties up my way with some improvements, garage, second story, stuff like that. So I could check that address off of FERC.
Yeah, as long as it took a permit.
But wondering if they pulled a permit. Yes, exactly.
Well, that points to a real problem.
Yeah, we don't have to go there.
Even in exploring certain sales, you go to MLS or even Zillow and you see a home go into the system, no record of a permit, but clearly it's been completely
Yeah.
redone and.
I'm with you. We could talk permits all day. It needs to be done.
It's one of our biggest challenges is dealing and addressing. Improvements that are made without benefit of building permit.
And that's cheating the system.
Yeah, so what's interesting, I learned recently in Vermont. As part of the sale, you have to.
We have to close all permits.
I think it's I hope I'm not wrong here, but I think the fire chief goes in and, evaluates the home, make sure there's smoke detectors and fire detectors, but will also take note of improvements that have been made and whether or not
They've been
it's been
permitted.
under permit.
They do that. We don't do that here, I'm positive.
Now, with Maine, we were getting ready to sell our house, we used the same real estate agent that we had built it with.
Yeah,
And we had finished the room in the basement, the contractor did. And it happened really quickly in the winter, he had a couple of down weeks and we hadn't pulled a permit and we didn't realize that, we thought he had. So the real estate agent went back and worked with the town, because he said, when you finally put your house on the market, you want this all taken care of.
yeah.
So he helped us, we had done something, we didn't realize that we had done it, so I don't know if that's typical here, the real estate agents. Because he was with us when we built the house, so he knew the house pretty intimately. But we were glad that he pointed that out, so then when we did put it on the market, like 3 months later, everything was.
To my understanding, not to my understanding, I can tell you for sure. Florida, if you pulled a permit and didn't close it, you weren't closing your house. That permit had to be closed. So we would go back 20 years to a business that put up shutters who want to bankrupt. And we're trying to convince that guy to run all over town, do all this work for $200 so we could sell this property.
Yeah.
We could bet we reached into our pocket, but still, without closing a permit in Florida, you were not gonna close. If there was an open permit there, so you, and not only do you have to open it, it had to be officially closed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know who closes them up here, probably the whoever.
Building inspector,
The builders have to go in and close. Okay.
building inspector,
Okay,
but that doesn't always happen.
Yeah,
No, they tend to on major, new homes and additions, but decks and 101 other improvements, they don't typically raise those.
I would like to thank RRG for providing this regional, this calendar of events. I know we had asked for it and Derek put it in our box, but I find this very helpful. So that I can sit down and go, okay, we're in November, what's done, what's not done, what has to be done. And we can look at October and say, has all that been done?
Well, if we're talking about that,
Yeah,
that leads us to our next thing.
yes,
We have completed the LA 3, 15, 4, and 13,
okay,
all on the gateway.
yeah,
We need at least one signature on all of them, and we need 2 signatures on the LA 4.
But
So,
preferably 3.
preferably 3 on all of them.
so you've already done them.
They're set up and they're ready to go. I would ask you to go and put them up there, but do not submit them, save them, but do not submit until I see what the DOR or
So we can
the.
go onto the website and electronically,
And the gateway, yes.
but don't submit it.
Do not submit.
Sign and then save, because if you don't click save, it may not save.
Can I sign right here without signing?
No. Sounds like a slack run.
Do you all have your gateway,
I do, I haven't finished the 101 course, I think I have 3 or 4 more sections, I've done the classification and one beyond that, just 3 or 4.
Yeah, so-
So I'm not sure if I can sign it.
Jane, I don't believe you can.
Right,
Yeah.
I think,
I only came on in April, so,
what we've,
Congratulations, glad to have you.
thank you.
what we've done in the past to sign, I don't know if I have like the gateway account to get on, is we sat with the assistant assessor and they had the screen up and, okay, we looked at it and she put in it,
I
signed it.
wouldn't mind doing that.
So we
When
can
do you
do
need your
that.
signatures?
I need your gateway password in order to do that, folks.
Well,
I'll give you my password.
doesn't Derek have that?
I have no idea how.
I will give you my password and then you can sign from that. That'd be great.
All right, I'll ask Derek, I'll contact Derek, I'll contact you all tomorrow, okay?
Yes, but before we finish here, I have some more questions on
Uh-huh.
the sales here, the last 4, the comparison, so the key thing I take away from here is residential is going up like 7.4%. Total residential, and then you got your commercial. 24 and 13, the bottom, right?
Right.
What was, just curious, what was the residential last year? 8%, something? Was it eight?
Increase?
Remember, yeah, I don't remember.
I don't either, it could well have been.
Seems like it was
I don't
somewhat
think
minimal.
commercial and industrial went up that much. It's great last year as compared here, so. Okay. So this kind of leads me, if our select board is looking at the percent increase, commercial and industrial increased so much that they should be paying more.
Oh,
Well, they're gonna say that. You
I
have
mean,
to, that's a
other
given.
than,
That's a
paying
given.
more because the assessed value is up, but the rate is not changed.
So I don't know what the sense is of this board in the past or even.
We don't want to
present.
split rate.
Thank you. But because I think,
Sorry, go ahead.
that when they look at the numbers, it would take a significant bump in commercial, the commercial tax rate to yield a minuscule
Yeah,
reduction on the residential.
Right.
side.
Right.
I mean, we've told
Told that every year.
They're saying the higher commercial properties can afford that.
Say bye-bye to your commercials.
I was just gonna say,
Yeah.
those people, you can't steal from the rich, they don't need the money, they could pull up out of town in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No.
But I mean, what major industry do you have?
Yankee Candle,
That's the big one.
Okay.
North Farm,
and over
Berkshire
here,
Gas.
industrial park, there's some here.
we got Berkshire
Yeah.
Gas.
They have some good commercials.
I did the numbers, I would say if. Those 3, Berkshire Gas, Yankee Candle and Dasco, I can't pronounce, those 3 accumulate $300,000 in taxes we get each year, 300,000.
Yeah.
So if one of those 3 says, you know what, I'm a billionaire 15 times over at Yankee Candle, I don't need this.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a $2 increase. And besides, I'll go get an attorney and I'll keep you guys locked in court for 22 years. Okay, I'm just talking out loud. And that's an up and coming subject, so.
We've been through that with Yankee Candle before my time,
Yeah.
and it was a big issue with Yankee Candle, so just.
But it was,
Yeah, they're not afraid of us.
they're not afraid of it, no, they're
Yeah.
not, that's what I'm saying. Plus, they employ people in town, they,
Look at what they're doing in Deerfield,
what's
So
Yankee
Fred,
Candle
you're
doing?
saying
well, they're closing that one major thing.
you're,
Oh, yes.
you don't want a split, right, you want.
No.
No.
Yeah,
No,
one
the
rate across the
data-
board.
So the data doesn't show that. Yeah, I like a split rate to reduce my property, my residential property, sure, we all would, but
At the
But not-
expense of commercial.
not for the benefit of the town, I guess, so.
Well, it's, if we're here to be equitable in our assessments, then wouldn't it be unequitable to increase decrease taxes on residential at the expense of commercial? Isn't that by definition unequitable?
Get out here very
But
soon.
I talked to David earlier, he said that split rates start to become important and or considered when you have like a 60-40 split, 60% residential, 40%
Yeah, like a
commercial.
Burlington,
Yeah.
the Burlington Mall,
Yeah.
historically, it was like 35 to 40%.
Right, and what are we, 80-20? So
Let's,
it's another subject, we'll get
let's
to it.
not get into that.
No,
yet.
no, let's not get into that. Let's keep
Other
going.
People may be listening later on here
Yes.
to see what you're saying, so.
I
Okay, I see.
need to hit the road,
Okay.
but, it's been a pleasure and, yeah,
Okay, so we'll,
Very professionally presented.
you understand what we're looking at for the land sales, I guess, and. You know, but,
yeah, like I said, the name of the game is
you know,
to,
that's what you,
really march down the path towards annual improvement.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, and just somehow support whatever decisions are made statistically.
Well, this has been our big dilemma in the past. That's why I came up with a 10-year study, because small, what do you begin with? 7 sales?
It's not credible.
It just doesn't tell you anything.
It's not credible unless those 7 sales, unless the entire town of Whately is 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes with a pool and had 7 sales.
Right.
Now it's credible. But it's not.
Okay, continuing with the agenda, okay, other items,
So we're good with it, Errol?
yes,
Okay,
any
thank you.
other items that you talked about,
Real pleasure. Okay, what do we have now?
any other items and. New and old business?
Oh, yes, there is an item I'd like to bring up real quick. We have been tasked with trying to figure out if the work for tax program would work.
Yeah,
And Derek says, what, he wasn't sure, he says, are we just saying yea or nay? And I talked to Peter, says, no, you're not saying yea or nay. You're trying to figure out how many people this would affect.
yeah,
And what's the dollar figure you would pay them, probably
Yeah.
minimum wage or more. And how long would they work for? They're asking us for that information. Peter says, this board, select board needs that data. And they don't just want you to say, yeah, good idea. They want us to go deeper. According to Peter.
and now, that's from Peter, but what is, Derek found out? We asked Derek to give us more information.
Peter says he's explained this to Derek twice and he's not quite getting it. So,
Okay.
either way, we can't just go back and say, yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay.
We have to go back with more data.
Okay, but they need this by what? By annual town meeting, it has to come up to town vote? Oh. I think
I believe so.
to do that. it
We have to
can't
do
be-
it soon.
Well, they want a special town meeting is like 2 weeks or something.
We have
Next
to,
week, we're not prepared for next week.
no, well, basically,
So-
they know, RG knows the amount of people who are interested in this program.
Our RG knows how many people are.
Yes,
interested?
at least according to Derek last week, he says that I know how many are in. I don't think there's about 5 or 6, but there are people interested. The question is, if they're interested, would we approve it, set a rate? And they would do white collar work, and for how long would they work? For? I mean, how? The select board wants to know, what is the impact to the average taxpayer? If we approve parameters, this program. But it sounds like we have to set it up.
You said Derek knows how many or they
He
interested?
had mentioned, yeah, he had
How did
mentioned
you
he
know?
has 5 or 6.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if that came through an application
Well,
or how it, so,
Yeah,
bottom line is, we're out of time on that.
yeah.
They're looking for us for how to proceed.
Well, it won't happen by next week, so we've got until town meeting, I guess, annual town meeting. Till next April.
Well,
Well,
I didn't know it was that
well,
far away.
I'm not sure if it has to go to town meeting to approve that or not.
Well,
I
let's
guess you'd
let's
have
get
to-
an answer from our RG. I can just ask.
Or
Peter
ask,
to get-
ask Peter if it has to go to town meeting.
Okay, I'll do it.
And how do we find that information, Mike, that they're
How
asking?
they're interested.
for? Pardon me?
How do we find out those people who are,
Well, you said, I think that Derek said that our RG knows the people, but how do we find out? I think you said something about the number of hours and the salary per hour.
I have some comments and stuff. Let's adjourn the meeting. We can talk some more about this. I don't wanna bring this up right
no,
now.
very good.
Okay, anything else?
What do you got, new and old?
No. Okay,
Okay,
our next meeting is gonna be November 20th
At 3 o'clock,
at
correct?
3 o'clock. Okay, motion to adjourn.
agreed.
All those in favor? Aye.